Have you ever felt that? That weight of an unexamined life? That feeling of just being adrift, knowing you need a change but having no idea where to even start? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful story of transformation. A journey guided not by some modern guru, but by the ancient, incredible wisdom of the I-Ching.
And this right here is the core idea we're going to be playing with. Forget about a simple A to B journey. Transformation in this view is a spiral. It's this cyclical process where we keep revisiting old themes, but every single time we come back with a deeper understanding. It's not about running from your past, but about learning from it on a whole new level. So our story starts at a crossroads that I think is pretty familiar to a lot of us. The narrator is 28, feeling crushed by a soul-sucking job, surrounded by relationships that feel kinda hollow. It's that point so many of us hit, that deep, restless hunger for something more, for some kind of purpose in the fog of just daily life.
Okay, so where do you turn when you feel that lost? For our narrator, the answer came from a pretty unexpected place, an ancient text that became a tool, a guide, and yeah, a mirror for the huge change that was about to happen.
Now, what I find really fascinating is the approach they took here. This wasn't about using the I-Ching like some fortune-telling gimmick. No, not at all. It was treated as this profound psychological tool, a way to hold up a mirror to your own soul and get a really honest look at what's going on inside. The whole system is built around these 64 hexagrams. Now, just think of them as archetypical situations, right? They're like snapshots of the constant flow of life. Each one gives you a unique kind of map for navigating a specific moment in time, from creation and conflict all the way to completion.
So, with that mirror in hand, the journey truly begins. And this wasn't about quiet thinking and journaling. Nope, this was about an explosive, all-in commitment to a new path, and it was all fueled by those first readings.
So this is absolutely crucial to understand. The I-Ching is all about the balance between yang and yin. You've got the creative, which is pure yang energy. It's all action, force, getting things started. And then its counterpart, the receptive, which is pure yin. It's about patience, nurturing, and yielding. The narrator's first big lesson was learning how to dance between these two incredible forces. And boom, this just perfectly illustrates that raw, creative energy in action. There was zero hesitation. The reading for Hexagram 1 came through, and the response was immediate. It was bold. Quit the job, sign up for classes, pour every single ounce of will into this new passion. This was pure, unadulterated action.
But of course, no new beginning is ever that easy, right? Hexagram 3, difficulty at the beginning, perfectly captured this initial struggle. But what's so critical here is that the I-Ching didn't frame this as failure, not at all. It framed it as a necessary, built-in phase, showing that pushing through that friction is exactly how you get to a breakthrough. So after that initial spark, that first burst of action, that's when the real test began. This is really the heart of the journey, where our narrator confronts these profound, really difficult challenges, and all of them were mapped out by the hexagrams. This timeline just powerfully shows you the cascading nature of hardship. It wasn't just one bad thing. It was this painful sequence. Burnout leads to a creative standstill, that a key partnership falls apart, and a public failure leads straight into a deep depression. But, and this is so important, the cycle doesn't end in the abyss. It ends with return, a reminder that even from the absolute lowest point, renewal is always, always possible. One of the key lessons came from Hexagram 6, conflict. I mean, most of us see friction as something to avoid at all costs. But here, the narrator learned to completely reframe it. To see that conflict, when you navigate it with honesty, can actually become an ally that builds deeper, more resilient connections. And what about when your resources just dry up? Hexagram 47, oppression, describes that feeling of being boxed in by your circumstances, like a major financial drought. But the lesson wasn't about suffering, it was about resourcefulness. That confinement becomes a crucible, forcing you to develop a kind of strength you simply can't grow when things are easy. This is the reflection on hitting rock bottom with Hexagram 29, the abysmal. And the real insight here wasn't about fighting the darkness, but about enduring it. Like the narrator says, through that process, an unshakable core was forged, a kind of resilience that could only come from surviving that kind of trial. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When you look back at your own life, where did your resilience really come from? What were the moments that actually shaped your strength? It's almost never in the easy times, is it?
And all of this brings us to the ultimate lesson, the big takeaway from this entire journey. It's not just about overcoming obstacles, it's about understanding the fundamental nature of the process itself. This is just brilliant. The final 2 hexagrams of the I-Ching deliver the most profound message of all. Hexagram 63, after completion, describes that perfect moment of balance and harmony. You did it, you made it, but it requires vigilance to maintain. And then right after it comes hexagram 64, not yet completed, reminding you that the journey is never, ever truly over. There is always a new cycle about to begin.
And that's the essence of the whole transformation right there. The narrator went from being this lost, fog-bound dreamer to a creator who was literally forged by purpose and by trial. But the key is that last part. The journey spirals on. It isn't a destination that was reached, but an entirely new way of being that was discovered. And so we end with this really provocative call to action. The story we've just walked through is one person's narrative, mapped by the I-Ching. The final thought from our source is a powerful one. What would your story look like? Maybe, just maybe, your own narrative is waiting to be discovered.